Welcome to Strong Personalities. This is Yanni Bear bringing you the big personalities behind all the big muscle you see at all the strongman competitions. Today, I have Tyler Perdue. He is the promoter for Clash on the Coast and the entire Clash series. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
All right. So you took it over this year, right?
Yeah, late last year, myself and Ryan kind of carrying the torch forward.
Okay, so what's that transition been like for y'all?
Man, ups and downs, lots of emotions, both positive, negative. I think overall, though, the transition, because I've been around since the very first Clash. Like I was at the first Clash show, so I think with that kind of experience, it's been pretty smooth. A little bit of work gone into kind of getting everything back on track, getting everything up to speed of the promotions of the shows, and working on basically taking Clash to the next level like it originally was supposed to be. Yeah. And the transition, it's definitely a team thing. No one can do it on their own, and there's been a lot of support and a lot of teamwork that's been into it to make this thing happen, and I couldn't be any happier with how it's come together so far.
That's good. Okay, so you're talking about taking Clash to the next level. How is Clash on the Coast taking it to the next level?
Yeah. So, I think it's pretty important to clarify, like, what do I mean by the next level, right? Because it's super subjective. And the next level, Clash was started to help athletes. It's for the athletes, by athletes. And to the next level, being around the sport, I've been around the sport since 2011, 12, long time, and seen a lot of things, that you would like to think that they'd be better, right? Like improve things, improve the athlete experience, the shows, overall the exposure too. One of the biggest problems I've seen and the sport of strongman is the exposure of the individual athlete or like their namesake or their brand is always 100% been, not 100%, but it's been on the athlete until the last couple of years. And there's been some promotional companies that come along that help. Rogue is the shining star of this, of the promotional material they do for the athletes. I think it's really great. And just really dialing in more to that, which is part of why our shows are less people overall, typically, and faster. Because the other part of the athlete experience, taking it to the next level, is like, hey, look, at the end of the day, not a lot of people are going to make a living doing this. So how do we not only have fun competing, but then the places you go, the experiences before the show, after the show, and you're not just traveling to spend 10 hours at a show, wake up the next morning and drive home. So the experiences you get to take with you as an athlete, I think wanting to continue to elevate those is probably the easiest way to put that in a box.
Yeah, because from my experience with these competitions, it looks like you want it to be something that is manageable for a audience member to consume either through a stream, television, versus the usual 8 to 9 hours we see when you have so many weight classes and so many people that are only really there to see specific athletes. It kind of wears on them. It's hard to keep the energy up for the entire time. But when you have 1 or 2 weight classes like we do for the Clash on the Coast, it's a lot quicker. People are more engaged, and I think you get more quality time with each athlete. So what's it like getting a show ready that's going to be on ESPN?
Oh man. Thankfully the third year running with this, there's a lot less of a learning curve and a lot less curveballs and surprises, man. The biggest thing is that it just takes a village. It is definitely not a 1 or 2 or 3 person ordeal. You have to coordinate. It's like project management. You have to coordinate, the videographers, the photographers, the venue, the internet connection, obviously still the athletes, obviously still the venue, obviously still the equipment, and handling it all. The ESPN kind of that pressure, I think a lot of people would say, like, hey, it's on ESPN, it's got to be great. I don't see it being on ESPN as any more pressure than being on a live stream, because it's still about the athlete, and they deserve the same level of attention to detail and exposure, no matter what the platform is. But there's just you promote a show on your own at your own gym, you get to say so on everything. You're the final, the buck ends with you. When you're on ESPN, there's a lot more rules and regulations, and you got to pass things through them. There's lots of conversations that go on and what can happen. I think it's exciting because the end result is something that the sport rarely gets to see. but it definitely takes a village to get that thing ready and get that thing firing off smooth.
Yeah, so I think your shows are showing the maturity of the strongman sport. I think I was talking to somebody last week during our podcast where right now it feels like strongman is kind of going through like their puberty where they're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, finding that way that's going to work with them. What else do you want other competitions to replicate from Clash? Like, how are you leading the strongman competition community?
Yeah, dude, I love that question. And by all means, throughout my history of promoting and learning from people, I've definitely taken pieces I like from every corporation, federation we've seen. So it's not a knock on any of them, just kind of, hey, I like this and I think I can do this better. The thing that I think I would really like to see is kind of twofold. The first is the exposure for the individual athletes to really help them build their own brand out of this thing. Because at the end of the day, that's how you're going to get the furthest with it. And then I think the second thing is we've done a little bit of it. We're really pushing it this time. And I give all the credit in the world to Luke and Rhiannon overseas for doing it too, right? Sell shirts, you sell merchandise, you sell live streams, you sell a lot. You make a lot of money. No, you don't make a lot of money, but there's a lot of dollars coming in off of the athletes' work and giving that back to them in some degree. Because I played college football during a time where, college made all of the money off of your name and you got basically nothing. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. And it's cool to kind of be able to start to like, hey, we're selling a shirt with your name on it. You're going to have the opportunity to earn that money. We're selling live streams, like, basically revenue share. I tested it with the 91 kilogram show I ran. I said, hey, this works. And being able to grow that. And I would love to see every show. Brian Shaw also does a good job of this. How many people buy the Shaw Classic, right? More prize money goes in there. So I'd love to see, I don't think we're the pioneers of it, but I would love to see more shows and more promotions replicate those two things, the exposure and giving back to the athletes and the fact that you're making money on their namesake.
Yes, I like that. My follow-up question here is, do you think that competitions are going to become smaller and more focused on specific weight classes so that way they're not cannibalizing each other's rosters? Because I think that's a common thread you see no matter where you go. You have competitions kind of back to back to back, and then you don't have enough athletes, especially on the women's side. Even though the women's side is growing a lot, there's not enough for all the competitions that are trying to recruit them.
Yeah, man. It's a double-edged sword, because when you see these back-to-back competitions, there's more opportunities. So that's always the pro or the positive to look at it. I always do my best, and a lot of athletes could probably testify to this overseas. I'm trying to see what's going on over the world, and I say it a lot. I want to provide an opportunity without taking one from you. And at a certain point, that will just be impossible, which I think is a good place to be. But do I think shows will be more, small and focused? I'd like to see it, but outside of, the open men, the rogue, they're doing great things with the women too. Other than that, I don't see it and I don't hear a lot about it. So do I think it's going to happen anytime soon? Yeah, there's a few like Luke and Rhiannon overseas are doing great. It's a little bit more prominent over there too, where you have like 80 kg, like Britain's Strongest Man, right? Focuses on the 80s. So I'd like to see it. I don't know when that's coming though, to be perfectly honest. If it started popping up tomorrow, open source here, I will help anybody try to run it the best they can for the sport.
Okay. So since we're talking about the women's strongman divisions, the 82 kilo, this is an exciting crew that you have coming to the competition. One of the few people that I've met here in person is Sophia Sharp. I think that is so cool to see somebody so young qualifying for such a big show. What goes into recruiting and getting all these athletes to Clash on the Coast? You have the qualifier, right?
Yeah, that's one thing I've always liked about Clash, and it's always stood for is, you can earn your place, right? There's no favorite, there's no like picking or favoritism. I mean, I did an invite for the Clash 91 show because there wasn't any qualifiers for that class. But like overall, there's a very clear, objective way to get where you want to go, and it's pretty black and white. You either do or you don't, and I really like that. And I mean, the way to get the athletes, to come to top level people, to come to the top level shows, is I personally think how you treat them. Do you want top level athletes? You have to treat them like that. You can't ask for top level athletes and treat them like they're nothing. I think that's where a lot of people run into a brick wall, is they want top level athletes, but they ignorantly don't and that's fine. Ignorance is, you don't know what you don't know. They don't know what it takes to treat them like that. And I think that's where some people fall short. So the experience, go back to the experience, right? You're not spending all day at a show. And again, I understand those shows happen, right? I'm not knocking them. But the amount of people that have come to us and been like, dude, I love this format. I love that it's fast. I don't have to wake up early. We're done in the middle of the day. I can go have a good night, hang out with the competitors, go out with my family, go to the theme park, have a whole experience. I think that a combination of those two things is really what brings, obviously the money, right?
Yeah.
But the other intangibles to bring the top level people to the shows.
When it comes to the athlete treatment, what makes Clash stand out besides the name on the back of the shirts? And then I think I saw something about IVs.
Yeah. As far as the IVs, like some of the stuff I think could be like a standard, really, and you don't get a pat on the back for doing the bare minimum. And I think that like IVs, names on shirts, like stuff for this level show. Again, the local show that's got 100+ people, I don't think this is the same. It's not the same thing. I don't have the same expectation. But like the name on the shirts, right? The IVs, like the information upon arrival, that people get, you might not hear as much about. I think that should be the bare minimum. Not anything that you get a pat on the back for. Now, the athlete treatment, otherwise, again, making sure that the venue's good, they have the right place, they have everything they need. They don't have to want for anything. The 91 kilograms, again, there's a testing around for a lot of stuff. We put together literally a map where you're staying, where the venue is, where all of the stuff that we know from like a competitor standpoint, what you're going to, when I go, I look for these things, right? When I travel, I look for these things. So I just put it together. Like, my girlfriend helped a lot. Abby helped a lot. Here's all of this stuff. Here's exactly where it is. Here's how far of a walk and a drive and how much an Uber will cost for it. So you already had your whole everything planned before you even landed on the plane or drove into the city. I think stuff like that, and I'm seeing it here at the Arnold. I see it every year. They do a wonderful job, the lead up, the emails, the communication, as well as like the treatment of them when they arrive. They got all their names on TVs and stuff. Stuff like that is really, really cool.
Have any of the athletes felt any pressure from it being on ESPN? Do you feel like that's changed anything for any of them? Has anybody been discouraged to go because of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair statement to say that people have definitely felt extra pressure being on ESPN. Has anyone come to me directly and said, "Hey, I feel really stressed and there's a lot of pressure"? No more than any other show that's got a title to it or a name or a payday. If anybody's been discouraged from going to it because it's on ESPN, it certainly has not come to me.
Okay.
I would be curious. I would actually be really curious if someone was, because I would be intrigued as to why and what can be done about it, honestly.
Well, the reason I ask is because one of my goals with like interviewing as many athletes as I can with this is because in my head, I'm thinking, all right, these athletes are going to get more TV time, right? Either through a live stream, ESPN, or whatever. So they're not going to be maybe as confident speaking in front of the camera, speaking in front of a large audience. So I think that's something that they have to keep in mind when it comes to growing their brand to be successful. So I was just curious about that because I know we have a lot of introverted strongman. So, there's a big change from, going from a small local competition and then qualifying for something this big. You mentioned earlier that you tested a lot with the 91 kilos. Is there anything, do you usually try to test something at every competition, like little tweaks here and there? Or do you find a format that you like and then you're like, I'm sticking with this?
Man, complacency is one of the things that I have never related to or understood or really operated by. So yes, there's always something going on, always learning, always testing something little. You'll almost never know it's being tested. Almost never. But yeah, there's every single show.
Is it because you're being secretive, or you're just testing it just to test it, but it's not really?
You're just seeing what things stick, what things don't. We got some cool stuff coming for the judging at Clash on the Coast, and a little bit of standards and some communication ahead of time about what it's all going to look like. And yeah, we're testing this out to see how it goes, right? 91 show. It's never a secret, really. I'm not hiding it, but at the same time, it's not always pertinent information.
Okay.
91 kilogram show. I just tested. Hey, can we sell enough live streams with ADL? You know, hats off to them. Can we sell enough live streams to give some money back to these ladies that pushed the show so hard? And we did.
Awesome. All right. So when it comes to these events, right, I've noticed that unlike last year, we don't have any like record breakers. It looks like these are very big, moving, explosive events. Was that done on purpose? Did you purposely take out a max effort lift?
The lack of a record breakers like show, that was very much intentional.
Okay.
To be super candid, there's a lot of logistics that go into that my philosophy is best is our standard. So if we can't provide it at that, I don't want to try, because I'm going to be shortchanging a lot of people, a lot of time, a lot of effort, you know, a lot of people's travel, time off work, all that. So that was very intentional. The event selection, you know, it's not just me that comes up with it, but given this is the third year of a show like this, and we've had a lot of shows that run at this speed, you start to learn what would historically be light at another show is not so light at a show like this, and the effects of what happens right after it. You know, it's a big difference when you get to take an hour and a half between an event and what was heavy and what you can recover from, and you get 10 minutes. Like, so, you know, in the timeline, live ESPN, you get 2 hours flat. That's basically not going to happen to run a max event through that at all. Yep. So intentionally, in a sense, yes, but also by design, more of like at the base of it is the design of it. It's not going to fit very well in a lot of things, but there still will be max events and records at some of our shows.
Yeah. Okay, that was interesting, because I personally like moving events. I hate max effort events, but that's just because I'm weak. So we have the log clean and press for reps. We have the the medley that is sandbag carry 50 feet, yoke push 50 feet, and then a keg carry for 50 feet, and you have to do that under 90 seconds. We have the frame carry the frame carry deadlift one is interesting, because you have to make sure, one, you're paying attention to all the up down commands, and then you're going 3 reps, carrying it for 25 feet, 3 reps, and carrying it for 25 feet. You're gone for a little bit. There you are. You went away just for a split second. No worries.
Oh, okay.
Did you? So on that one, where'd you come up with that one?
The deadlift one specifically?
Yeah, the frame carry deadlift one.
Yeah,
stop and go.
Yeah. So it is no secret to anyone that knows me that Fatback Farmers is one of the events that I love personally. I think it's great. It tests a lot of things. And it's like, hey, let's see what a fatback frame is like instead. You know, it combines the deadlift portion at a good grip test of strength too. And there's a lot of endurance that goes into this that I hope people are really ready for.
Yeah, a lot of speed too. Then we have the keg throw in the sand at a 13-foot height.
Mm-hmm.
And then we finish off with the Clash Stone. Can you go into detail on the Clash Stone event?
Yeah, and just so everyone's good, this is for the 82 kilogram women's show, these events. And the Clash Stone, you know, is something that the idea is not new, nor did it come from Clash. But the way it's ran, we kind of put a stamp on it, where it's meant for you to go back and forth, and there's a competitive environment. You get 30 total seconds to get a rep. Every time it lands, you get 15 seconds of that 30 to put it in your lap, or else you're done. And then once it's in your lap, you get the rest of the 30 seconds to get it over the bar, but it cannot touch the ground. So once you extend with that thing, it's either got to go back in your lap or over the bar, or else you're also out. And it's really just I think it's the most exciting way stones are done, and a lot of people agree. And you just love those runs where someone knocks out 4 people in a row. Yeah, but it's designed to put some emphasis on, like, go fast, right? Go fast, and you also get pushed by the other people. The men's like prelims, you know, they're going to have a press medley where you're going to have a log, a keg, and then double dumbbells. That's the first one. And it's double dumbbells for reps. And this is not the event order. There's going to be a lot of different orders of these events based on the heat. So this is not meant to be some reveal of the order, you know. And then you're going to have an arm over arm truck pull. You know, that's just a standard arm over arm truck pull for 50 feet. There's going to be one of my favorites, which is a tire flip 50 feet to a chain drag for 50 feet. that chain is just soul sucking every single year. I love it. I love that Johnny brings it, that we're able to use it. There's a keg throw in the sand that's 15 feet. So it's typical. Throw the kegs over a bar. It's just gonna be in the sand. And then there's gonna be the frame deadlift for reps. And that one is, I think that one's going to be some strategy going into that versus just blowing yourself out and doing as many as you possibly can. But I want to see some endurance in deadlift. I think the sport as a whole has shifted towards like how much can we deadlift versus what capacity can we do. I think we're gonna see it on that event.
I like the fact that you're not going for a max deadlift. I feel like that's at every single competition. I like the conditioning part. I feel like we're seeing more athletes than just, who's got the biggest body and who can carry the most weight. So I really like that. So I have a couple of questions from some of the athletes. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, man. Did you want to go over the finals events for the men, or you?
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. Yes. What are the finals events for the men?
No, you're good. It's no good. But the finals events is a cedar dumbbell press. It's about a 210-pound dumbbell that's been milled out of a solid block of steel. They're awesome. They're fantastic pieces of equipment. Just clean and press for reps. It's literally came from last year. Okay. Same exact event. Loved it. Great. The deadlift medley. This one's been the topic of conversation. It is a Zercher squat from the ground, then a sumo deadlift, and then conventional deadlift for reps. You're gonna have to be good at all types of deadlifts for that event. My personal favorite medley is going to be a yoke carry down, and then it's a keg loading carry. So an 800-pound yoke, and then you run back and you go a 270 keg over the bar, 300 keg over the bar, 330. And it's over the height you choose for the yoke. So if you want to do a real high yoke pick, you better get ready to load the kegs over something pretty daggone high. Man, I see those Texas boys practicing shoulder in the keg. I imagine some other people will too. Yeah, then you got sandbag to shoulder
techniques. Yeah.
Pretty. Sorry, they're down in your area doing it. Every single one of them shoulder in the kegs. You sandbag to shoulder, kind of same deal as last year, and the clash stone again. And these events were very much chose with a hard 2-hour time limit. The events, the difficulty of the event, the weights, the load, all of that were all chose with the idea, hey, 2 hours. We learned last year, 2 hours makes things a lot harder than they seem on paper.
Yeah, there's very little time to rest, but I think it also kind of keeps the athletes warmer, so there's less likely of anybody getting injured because they have to get cold and they have to warm up. Have you seen any changes, or do you see less injuries? Have you seen less injuries because of the pace of your competitions?
Would probably want to see a little bit more data to make a definitive answer of yes or no. I can safely say that the amount of injuries at clashes, we're talking major ones here, right? Well, a lot of us walk out of shows banged up a little bit, bruised up here. I'm talking major injuries. You're out for a while. Has been pretty low, but I also attribute that to the athlete's preparation at the end of the day. You show up to these shows prepared, in shape, ready to go, healthy. Chances of you getting injured are a lot less.
I have a question from Jody Kennedy. She wants to know, how lit are you going to get when this competition is done? Because I know putting these shows together is exhausting.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, it's a team thing, so I couldn't do it without a team of people working on it. How lit am I going to get? Jody. Of course you'd ask this. Jody might be the person that causes me to get the most lit with all of her questions. Truthfully, man,
what kind of questions does she ask? Is it like very specific?
Yeah, very specific. And sometimes my answer is just show up and be strong, Jody. It's fine. But to all the love in the world for Jody, all the respect. She's a phenomenal athlete. She always does show up to shows ready to prepare. But how lit am I going to get? Honestly, if it's anything like the last two, probably not going to catch a lot of me getting lit. I'm probably going to go take a nap first and then come back out and hang out with people. At the end of these shows, I need some me time away from people.
Oh yeah, you got to decompress. Yeah,
love everyone else is having a good time, but it's going to be, a couple hours of me time. Then I'll come out, shoot some drink, talk to some people. Hey man, last time we wound up walking back at 2 a.m. to the hotel, so we'll see.
Okay. Yes, please decompress. You've definitely earned it, especially with as big as these shows are getting. This one's from World's Strongest Opinions. They want to know, how do you go about choosing the heats?
World's strongest opinions. All right, that's a new one. Yeah. So I love this question. People have asked me. I just haven't really publicized it, but it's my goal is to do this objectively, where my feelings didn't matter. People that I know didn't know it didn't matter. So what I did is I took the podium of last year's Clash on the Coast 105 and all of the first place domestic qualifiers, and I assigned them a number and randomized the numbers into 5 groups. So if Isaac Mays was number 1, Jesse Nelson was number 7. Wherever number 1 and number 7 landed, Isaac went to 1, Jesse went to 7, so on and so forth. Then I took the first places of all the international ones, did the same thing. Then I took all the second places that qualified, all the third places that qualified, and that's how you have those heats.
No, I really like that. The reason I was laughing is because on that podcast we were talking about how we can't figure out how World's Strongest Man goes about choosing their heats, because there always seems to be like a group of death that like feels super heavy, and then all the heats that I've been seeing from yours look really balanced.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to speculate on what World's Strongest Man does or doesn't do. Over the years, I've seen some theories floating around out there of how people got places. And, my part of it's just the depth of the athletes. Like, I was joking with a friend on my way up here to the Arnold. It's like, even if I wanted to stack this class to where I could pick the top 10 finalists, it would be very hard. There wouldn't be I don't think you could do it. So it was great to have it objective, and it's great for people to know exactly how it was done, so that just any rumors or any favoritism or anything that's just kind of put to rest, because I want no part of that.
Yeah, transparency is always greatly appreciated. This one comes from Andrew Clayton. He wants to know, how well does he have to do at the Clash on the Coast for the Clash Insta page to follow him back?
Andrew, I love Andrew. Love his sense of humor. Honestly, Andrew, I'm pretty sure that you've done enough in your career to be followed by just about any page possible. So let me just go ahead. I didn't realize we didn't follow you, man. So I do apologize. I think you've certainly earned it. Let me go find you and follow you. Hold on a second.
I can feel
Yanni,
the pain.
I hope you don't mind
question.
me holding up the podcast.
No, go for it. Go for it.
So
I can feel the pain in the question when he asked it.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh. Well. All right, so we go back. All right, there we go. Oh, I meant to put that on the camera. I followed him, but I didn't. So hold on, give me a second.
Oh, great. Now he's going to see a follow and then an unfollow. There we go.
Yeah. So we're following him. You can see the Clash. Whoop, heads up. You can see the Clash Instagram token down here at the bottom. Andrew, you were followed, and I apologize, my man. This is not an invitation to everybody ask that question to get followed. That's not an invitation for that.
Yeah, you got to keep it focused. Watch Andrew call you and just be like, all right, I'm not going to compete anymore. We're good. I just wanted to follow.
Mission, that's Andrew's goal. Just be followed by Clash.
That was my prize. We're good. All right, so let's cover a few more things. How long have you been in Strongman? Because you said you played football in college. What got you into Strongman?
Yeah, this one, it's a great question. So, I was home. I used to go when I was home. I'd go to this powerlifting gym next to a custom chopper shop. One of the guys that kind of mentored me in strength and conditioning would always just train us there. Garage gym, right? Nothing was fancy. I mean, there's these big old stones over there sitting on the wall, like lined up, and seeing it on TV. Of course, I wasn't like ignorant to what they were, and I was like, one day, hey. You're playing football, right? You don't want to get hurt doing something dumb and go have to tell coach, hey, coach, I tried to pick up this big stone and I hurt my hamstring. So one off season, I was like, hey, let's see how we can pick these things up. Didn't know how much they weighed. This was a gym that the guys there knew how much everything weighed, but it wasn't written down anywhere, and they weren't willing to tell us. There's like, see which ones you can pick up and which ones you can't. So, naturally, we got a couple of the smaller ones, and we got to one of the ones that was like a 20-inch stone. I think it wound up being like 270. Couldn't budget. And me being me at the time, I was like, oh, that's not going to stand. I'm going to pick that up.
Yeah.
And it just kind of grew from there. I was like, oh, wait, people pick up weights and run with them in this sport? Oh, heck yeah, let's do this thing. And it just kind of grew from there.
How many times have you competed?
Man, I've never been one of those guys that like counts them or logs them.
Yeah.
Same thing with my performances. I don't really remember. Did I win? Did I lose? Did I whatever? Minimum 40.
40 across how many years?
what are we, 2023, 12?
Yeah. 12
12 years?
years?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
there's
wow.
definitely some
You were busy.
significantly more active years in this sport and
Yeah.
significantly less.
Okay.
But there's definitely years where I know I did 6 or 7 shows just because I just walked in and did it. There was a show that the only other person there that's done this is Randy Cole, and power to you, man. I showed up at a competition just to hang out, watch, and help if needed. And during the rules meeting, they needed a fifth 265 to have 2 qualifications for Strongman Corp Nationals. They said that. I was like, hey, man, can I still sign up? I just paid it in the rules meeting, signed up, didn't have a shirt, and competed.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
What was the closest you did competitions? Like, were they like back-to-back weeks or?
No, not back-to-back weeks. My good friend Kemal did 3 and 4 weeks and got first or second in all of them. That is still my like pinnacle of that back in like 2017. Closest I did them, I know I did 2 in 1 month. I don't remember if there was like a week between or 2 weeks between, but I know there was 2 in 1 month. Unless you count a show where I did an individual show and then a team show the next day. But I don't think that's what you meant.
No. But I was talking to Katie Gutwald yesterday, and she's competing at the Arnold this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's going to be competing at the Clash on the Coast. So she's giving herself less than 3 weeks. And I was just like, you beast. I feel like I need at least a month where I'm like, letting my body decompress after a competition.
Oh, 110%, dude. There's no way I'm competing twice in that time period anymore.
Oh, and I also saw that Carly Oliveira, I saw her at the under 64 from last year.
Yeah.
She was under 64 last year, and now she's competing with the 82. That's pretty cool. That's big. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm excited to see repeat athletes in these competitions. Oh no, I just had a really good question. Hold up. Okay, yeah. So you mentioned quite a few places that Clash has been and is going to be at. What are some future locations you're excited to explore bringing Clash to?
You mean domestically or internationally? Because they're two.
Up to you. Like, where haven't you been that you're like, I need to get there? We need to get Clash. Where haven't
we been? Or where have well, Clash has been a lot of places. I think it's easier to say the coolest places.
All right, go for it.
Definitely Shenzhen in China with Travis Hayes running that. Dude, that's crazy. Mason down in Australia. People don't realize Mason's been a big deal in Australia. He used to run the Arnold Australia.
Can you give his full name?
Mason Danette. I always butcher it, so hope he doesn't kill me. And then I do think it's really cool to get Clash over in the UK with that fan base over there with Rhiannon and Luke doing a phenomenal job running that show. And it's impossible, dude. It's absolutely impossible to discount Pfeiffer with Kiki and Ego as far as the international shows go. And we had Clash Dubai. All right, so they're everywhere. But in the United States, I love Denver. We've been there several times. I would really like to get, the shows in areas that are like population dense to have the most exposure for the athletes. Like Miami would be cool. I know there's just a show in Miami. Miami would be really, really cool. I also think somehow or other in New York City, I don't have it up here yet of how it would work out, but I think it would be awesome. Or in DC.
Yes. DC.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that know some really cool venues that I would be like, yes, that sounds amazing. Tyler Davis was one that was bringing up having them at events that are already happening with a lot of people to bring in, which I think is a great idea. So there's a lot out there for that. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I'm kind of ignorant to some cool ideas of where shows could potentially happen.
I really like the DC idea. It's one of my favorite places that I've been. I went there during the Cherry Blossom Festival. So if you could do something with that, because you already have all the population, and then imagine all the extra tourists going up there. Oh man, you can do some crazy. Oh yeah, yes.
Dude, I love the DC idea, and it happens to be 45 minutes from my house, so I'm constantly exploring it.
Yeah, do something close to home, man. Come on.
That's Baltimore. That's where I live. But yeah, DC it's always on the top of my mind. How do we get there in a reasonable financial situation? The financial piece is the last venue I looked at in DC, which was really cool, was a $27,000 deposit to have that venue for 2 days. Yeah.
No biggie. Yeah, you got it.
All right. Yeah, we'll just pull that out from the couch cushions.
Yeah, you good. Cerberus, let's go. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Tyler. Back to you now. What was the last book you read or listened to that was non-fitness related?
It's an easy one because I don't read or listen to fitness books anymore. Not because
You're
I'm
like,
too
I know
smart,
it
because I
all.
don't. They're not interesting. I'm not interested in that use of my time. The last book that I read, which is funny because now I read books and I listen to them on audiobook. So it's going to be the same answer because I go through them all the same. Honestly, man, it's a book called Influence because I have a career, and it can be boiled down to making customers happy and building communities. And part of that's how you influence them.
So influence. Okay. That's a good one. I need to add that to my list. What What is the last movie you actually got to enjoy?
Man, uh, really not a big movie watcher. What?
Or TV show?
Oh man, oh crap! I just watched Black Panther: Wakanda Forever movie. It's pretty
Ooh,
solid, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was no spoilers, but yeah, there were some gut wrenching spots where I wasn't ready. I was just like, all in my feels today. Got it.
Yep.
Are you a big Marvel fan? Like, if you had, obviously, you had a choice to watch a movie, you got to watch a Marvel.
Man, fun fact about me, and I get slammed for this all the time. I couldn't tell you who's Marvel and who's DC. I just know what I like. I
Okay.
don't.
Yeah, this
Like,
this interview's over. Thank you for being on the show.
pretty much. Pretty much.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so not a big. What do you do for fun then? Like, what does Tyler do when he's not busy putting on all these awesome class shows?
What does Tyler do? So I have this really pretty strong desire to always be productive in something. I do not like wasting time,
Okay.
but I also understand that there needs to be some time where you can just chill. So what I've found is these neat things that have been around since the dawn of time called Legos, where I can just put my phone down. I get to just chill, but I'm still being productive because I'm building something and completing it. I have an entirely large, like too large collection of Harry Potter Legos, and I just keep building them.
Are you a Harry Potter fan?
Love it.
Okay. Do you know which house you belong to?
Never did it, but I imagine I would wind up in Gryffindor just because that's where most people wind up.
Got it. I'm surprised you haven't. Are you a big gamer? Because I know the game just came out.
You know, I would love to get around to playing that game. I've never really been a gamer.
Uh
I
huh.
think it's cool. It looks fun. But man, the time commitment, I know that I would spend way too long playing that game. So I'm really trying to avoid getting it.
No, I hear you. I purposely don't have any gaming systems at home because I have an addictive personality. So once I start a game, I need to finish it. So the only game series I've actually kept up with is the God of War series because it actually has a storyline, and it's
Yeah.
not like just online playing like Call of Duty or any of those other games. Um, awesome. So you're usually productive, so there's not a lot of downtime for you. Harry Potter, the book is Influence. The last movie you watched was Wakanda Forever. Favorite cheat meal?
Well, right now they're all cheat meals, man. Um, but I mean, it would
Okay,
be,
let me take that back. How does Tyler take care of himself?
what do you mean by that?
Just like, how do you take care of yourself with all the stresses from putting all these shows together, always traveling, always on the move?
How honest can I be?
However honest you want to be, man.
Okay.
It's your choice.
Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, like, how do I take care of myself is, um, man, I mean, I do still try to maintain working out on a regular basis, 4 days a
Yeah.
week. I don't always hit it. I try to make sure that I'm eating protein with every meal. Um, Honestly, I need to take better care of myself. I put a lot into a lot of things, and the priority of specifically my eating has been kind of low. I do like to, at the end of the day, get rid of some stress, eat some gummies, chill,
Yeah.
just relax like that. But how does Tyler take, I also do try to keep a pretty good mind, like when something's causing me too much stress. And as long as it's not like the world's burning, I just kind of like, I'll get back to that because it's not worth ruining a big part of my day just because something's stressing me out in the moment. So I practice a lot of that. But
That's good. Okay. So you still try to maintain your workout. You try to watch what you eat. I'm a big dessert person, so anytime I'm stressed, I go straight to dessert. So that's
100%.
another thing, kind of like a gaming system. I try not to have any desserts at home, or else, if I see a family size of Oreos, that's a Yanni size
Absolutely.
package of Oreos.
Ain't
So.
no family size of any of that. I don't keep desserts in the house at all, but there's this thing called Uber Eats that just happens to open on my phone some nights when I've been stressed. And next thing I know, 30 minutes later, someone's just knocking on my door with freaking milkshake or cake or something. And I'm like, oh, well, this is cool.
Like Uber knows when you're stressed out. So it's like, hey, you up? I can bring you some Oreos. And then here's my last question for you. How do you balance your relationships when you're so busy working on what you're working on?
Yeah, easiest way to put that is intentionally. It does not happen, and I am by no means perfect at it, man. But it will not happen if you're not intentional about it. And also, the people in those relationships, they're just as much of a reason that they work as I am, because they're also intentional about it. They can understand that sometimes I'm busy, sometimes I'm not. I mean, heck, man, I'm here at the Arnold right now. I'm going to have a pretty singular focus of helping out some athletes, and everything else is kind of going to take a back seat for a couple of days. It's not gonna be an even relationship, but my personal relationship with my girlfriend, and we talk, we live together, but like when I'm gone, I make sure to like communicate, let people know what's going on, make sure that she knows she's important. All my business partners, just giving them respect, the communication, making sure things are going right. But it's definitely a work in progress, and it's definitely intentional. Anyone that's got a lot of things going on should tell you the same thing, that it's not just magic every day when you wake up and everything balances out and everything gets attention.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional about it, and also open to learning that, hey, it used to work that way, but now we have to be intentional another way.
No, that's a great answer. Being intentional with what you're doing and with your time that you have with people. Because obviously anybody that you're involved with, they're going to see how busy you are. So they know that the quality time and the words that come from you, they're meaningful.
For sure.
All right, Tyler, thank you so much for jumping on to Strong Personalities. I know you're super exhausted. You're over here at the Arnold, and then you need some rest. I know you only had a flatbread before this. You need to eat more.
Yeah, Yanni, dude, I super appreciate it, man. I love being on here. Love what you're doing with Strong Personalities. I super appreciate it, man. It's been a great time.
Yep, can't wait to MC the Clash on the Coast. I'll see you then, bud.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, bye, man.
See ya.